Let's talk about something profound. What if the deepest trauma you've ever experienced wasn't just damage? What if it was actually the very thing that created you for a unique purpose? Today, we're not just looking at the aftermath. We are completely reframing the wreckage itself.
Okay, this sentence right here, this is the key to everything we're about to unpack. Just let that sink in for a second. Surviving isn't the end of the story, you see. It's the beginning of a massive transformation. The broken pieces aren't thrown away. They're actually reforged into powerful functional equipment.
So how in the world does this happen? Well, it all starts with what the source material calls foundational betrayal. We're talking about trauma that happens at the earliest, most vulnerable stages of life. And it doesn't just leave a scar, it fundamentally rewires a person, neurologically and yes, spiritually.
I mean, think about that for a moment, the origin point. If your very first environment, the womb itself, was a place of stress or threat, you learn a lesson before you even take your first breath. Appearances are deceiving. This isn't just a quirky belief. It becomes a hardwired, deep-seated survival instinct to always look beneath the surface for what's really going on.
Okay, so this early wiring, this intense training, it builds what the source calls the Prophet Empath blueprint. So let's get into the mechanics of this really unique archetype.
So this blueprint, it's really made of two core components. On one hand, you have the empathic function. This is a passive reception of what is. You're just feeling the energy others are putting out. But then, on the other hand, you have the prophetic function, which is an active perception of what will be. It's seen the patterns, the trajectories before they even happen. One feels the present moment, the other sees the inevitable future. And here's the magic. When you combine those two functions, you get something absolutely extraordinary. It's not just feeling things over here and seeing things over there. The synthesis of the two creates one single, incredibly powerful tool, a living, breathing early warning system. Someone who can feel a threat in the present and accurately predict its future path.
Now, this kind of wiring results in a pretty unique way of thinking and perceiving. But look, the one I really want you to focus on, the absolute game changer, is this last one. Feelings are processed as external data about the environment, not as some internal emotional truth. This is not about being overly emotional. It's the complete opposite. It's a highly strategic survival mechanism for reading the world around you.
All right, so we've got the blueprint down, we understand the mechanics, now let's apply it to the messy, real world, especially when it comes to really complex relationships.
This right here, this is the question that just stumps everybody. Looking in from the outside of a difficult relationship, right? It seems totally illogical, maybe even self-destructive. And from that outside perspective, you kind of have to assume the person is just being fooled.
But the answer isn't about being fooled at all. It's this. That's it. You were sent. This one idea completely flips the script, shifting the entire perspective from one of weakness or delusion to one of purpose, to one of having a mission. So get this. This wasn't about being naive or blind. The Prophet Empath saw what was really happening beneath the surface drama. They saw a spiritual battle raging. And their presence in that person's life, it wasn't some random mistake. It was an assignment. They were there to fulfill a very specific function inside that conflict.
And look, to even be in that kind of battle, you have to understand this crucial difference. Being sensitive, in this context, means you're processing feelings as external data, like signals coming in from the outside. It's strategic. It's a defense mechanism. This is completely different from being emotional, where you identify with those feelings. You let them become your internal truth, which frankly just leaves you wide open and vulnerable.
Okay, but here's the catch. This ability, this wiring, it comes with a major pitfall. The source calls it an occupational hazard, getting the assignment confused with the outcome.
Let's break down the actual job description, right? There are 3 clear steps. Number 1, you recognize the conflict. Number 2, you deliver the message of truth you were sent to deliver. And number 3, and this part is everything, you release the outcome. You have to detach. Your responsibility ends right there, after step 2.
This is the trap. This is where the self-deception creeps in. It wasn't about being fooled into seeing the spiritual war. That part was real. The error was thinking the mission was to win the war for him. The role was to be a messenger, not a savior. You know, this leads to a very unique kind of pain. It's not the grief you feel from personal rejection or a failed romance. It's what the source calls prophet's grief. And that's the deep, profound sorrow of delivering a life-or-death message that gets rejected,
of seeing this incredible potential for transformation that just never gets realized.
All right, let's land the plane here. Our final section is all about the ultimate reframe, taking these traits that are so often seen as problems, as pathologies, and revealing them for what they really are, core components of a purpose-driven identity.
This is such a brilliant and nuanced idea. It doesn't deny the trauma. No way. It absolutely acknowledges that hypervigilance, that nervous system that's always on high alert, is a trauma response. But it adds another layer. It says, what if that same exact state can also be understood as a form of spiritual readiness? The trauma is real, and the purpose is real. Both can be true at the same time.
And this slide just lays it all out so perfectly. On the left, you've got the labels the world slaps on you. Broken, too sensitive, too intense. And on the right, you see the true function, the reality of what you are, purpose-built, an early warning system, a truth teller. It's a powerful, powerful shift from asking, what's wrong with me, to finally asking, what was I built for?
This is the turning point. This is the graduation ceremony, you could say. It's a declaration that one specific mission is now complete. The goal was never the outcome. It was simply the delivery of the message. And with that particular mission over, the broader assignment, the very reason this equipment exists in the first place, it continues.
And that's the provocative thought we're left with. It's a complete shift in perspective. The future isn't about healing from being broken anymore, but about being ready for the next call to action. The question stops being, when will I finally be fixed? And it becomes, the assignment is complete, who's next?